Ladies and gentlemen, before we start this week's video, just want to put out a little content warning. We are talking about serial killers. So there's a lot of talk about deaths, murders, rapes, things that have happened in real life. And there's only the stuff we're talking about today happened in the 70s, so there's still survivors out there who were related to these people. That being said, this week's on Cats with Tin Hats, we're talking about Ted Bundy. This is Oliver.
Wyatt.
And Tucker.
So in talking about Ted Bundy and in prepping for it, we thought a good connection to make to have some light-hearted talk with it is looking at the movie Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, starring Zach Efron, Lily Collins, and a bunch more people. So before we talk about the horrible, despicable person, let's talk about the movie. What do you guys think?
That's good. It was, when it first came out. It came out, what, 2018? 2019?
2019.
Yeah, like right in like, when was it?
Summer?
Yeah.
Like June, July, right?
Yeah, May.
Oh, May. Yeah, 'cause I remember talking, we were in school still about it, I think. Right? Yeah. And, at first, when I heard little Zachy boy was playing, Bunders, very confused why they got him to play Bundy. It was like, hey, why are you getting this good-looking, juiced-up heartthrob? We got him playing Ted Bundy. Then the thing actually do it's like, okay, you know what? He has the chops. He kind of looked like him in certain scenes.
Well, with the
the right angle,
The right
the right
angles.
lighting, like,
especially with the when he's I think he's in prison, but he's wearing like that brown like turtleneck, and he has like the beard going right. And he's like talking about how he's gonna be innocent, how he's innocent, and
except for that comic book I stole
Yeah.
when I was a kid.
yeah, when he was 5 years old. I was like, yeah, dude. Yeah, I thought he killed it. I thought this was a pretty, I thought it was all pretty good, and it kind of a lot of it did come true from like what they didn't Hollywood it too much, which I liked. They didn't make him. They didn't. I know some people are trying to say they humanized fucking Bundy, but I don't think they did. They just, I think, just went through the trial of everything and did the key parts of his sentencing and all that shit, and yeah, it was good. Just solid movie.
Mm-hmm. I think this movie is really well done in the sense that I feel like it's showing you what the people who were on his side at the time saw, their story.
Yeah.
You never see a murder. It's hinted that he's committed these murders, but it's not heavily in your like. It's
not sure. Like, you don't see a bloody weapon. You don't see this. You don't see that. It's
none of that stuff.
Hinted.
Yeah, and it's very factual. Like it is a very factual movie, and I think it helps. Like for me, I was like, is this like an more independent movie? Do we know, or is it?
I mean, it was Netflix that funded it because the director Joe Ballinger, he did do the documentary, the Bundy tapes. He also did the Epstein one. He's worked with Netflix on a bunch of different documentaries, and I feel like this was one where he got the script. Looks over and goes, all right, this one, I'd be happy to do it. He's done the research, he knows what's happening, and I think it was more on that with their backing.
Yeah, honestly, like I feel like this is like a movie that, like you were saying, a lot of people felt that it was humanizing Ted Bundy, but I don't know if that was their intention, or if their intention was to go, this is what people thought of him.
Yeah.
This is the case that made people so afraid of serial killers, because it was somebody that
it was a normal guy.
It was a normal guy, and he said it himself in an interview. People were terrified because I was a guy that you went to work with, you wanted your sister to date, you saw me at the grocery store, and I said hi to you, and you liked me. That stuff was what he was saying.
Yeah, he was a very people person.
Yeah, because
it was fucked.
With like people saying that the movie humanizes him, and I was watching this with Wyatt, and every time like he started putting the water rights on, I got angry, saying, "How does this fucking humanize him? He's a manipulative piece of shit, and you can see it." But then at the very end, when he's talking to Liz Kendall at the prison over the phone, he's just like streaming with tears. I'm like, I get it. This movie does not humanize him, but they're doing something else. They're showing how manipulative that Bundy was, and if you felt bad for Zach Efron playing Bundy. That isn't the film's fault. That's what they want you to do because that's how he did it. Zach Efron did such a good job at manipulation. He got you through a screen, and that's what this guy was. He was a master manipulator.
And I will go as far to say perfect casting was Zach Efron.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect casting. Somebody who you look at and people look at him and go, "Wow, what a good-looking gentleman."
Yeah.
And then you see that people start to go, "Well, you humanized him, Ted Bundy and stuff." It's like,
Yeah.
no. We wrote the manipulative side,
Yeah.
but it's you going.
You fell for it.
Oh, it's Zach Efron.
Yeah. Right?
Zach Efron.
Yeah.
You felt like the
You're feeling
manipulation
that,
tactics.
yeah.
I think, like you were saying, that's what I was wondering. I was like, it has to be like. I think it's a strategic thing.
Yeah.
Because I think they're trying to show you how manipulative this guy was.
Because I think, like, if I could summarize it in a sentence, like, the movie doesn't humanize him. The movie gets you to humanize him.
Mm-hmm.
Good saying right there, yeah. Yeah.
And, I couldn't get any of that until the very end when he started crying in the prison. I'm like, you only feel bad because you got caught.
Yep.
That's all it
Yeah,
is.
he didn't care.
But at the same time, there's a piece here that's like, they show you like how he's like, oh, I'm trying to call Liz and she won't answer and all this, But then when you watch it, they're manipulating you into his stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's a really well written movie.
Yeah.
As well as well done with all the actors. I think it is a really well done movie, and I'm happy that they didn't try to recreate the cases. I'm happy they kept it respectful in that area.
Yeah.
Because I think one smart thing they did is this film is through the perspective of Liz Kendall. It's when she first meets him and going on her journey with him. He disappears. We don't know what he's up to. We just find out what she finds out when he's captured.
Mm-hmm. This movie, I think, is really well put together. I mean, cutting from certain scenes and almost keeping, even though you know, as an audience member, I'm pretty sure everybody knows about Ted Bundy, but this movie does a really good job of keeping you in and it transfers you into a spot of, well, wait, maybe, you know what I mean? Like, it almost tricks you into that mindset where you're like,
Do I really know him?
wait, where is this going? Like,
Yeah.
how is that? Wait, really? And if you haven't done a lot of research deeply into it, I can see how, like, maybe people were kind of on the fence with it. But then all of a sudden it's like, but every single where you go, man, it seems that murders follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not innocent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the movie does a really good job of like you said, being in the perspective of Liz and showing that kind of like eeriness that comes along with being around this dude, right?
Because this is from the Bundy tapes, most of the stuff that we watched.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's 4 episodes long. The last one's the longest, obviously, but the early years of Ted Bundy, he was a young kid, and a lot of they lived in an area of town where there were tons of kids in like a 4 or 5 block radius, and they all used to play together. And Ted was another one of those kids. They said that he was from the poorer side of tracks, and he seemed like any other kid, but he started, one story that a woman told in the documentary, he started digging traps that he called tiger traps. And he'd sharpen sticks, and then he'd dig a hole, set them in there, and then cover it. And one day a little girl fell in one and cut her leg open, stuff like that. But a lot of people would have never thought that Ted would go on to do the things that he did.
Yeah.
He went to high school. He says that he was kind of like, talking to everybody, and everybody liked him and stuff. But I don't know. There's kind of a mixed opinion on that. If he was a quiet outcast, or if he was a football playing jock and all this stuff.
He was a quiet outcaster.
Yeah. But the way the Netflix show phrased it was almost as this. I don't know if the woman saying this stuff is so spiteful and trying to remove him so much that a lot of it's in retrospect as opposed to how it was.
Maybe. I don't know. Just look at the kid. It's the guy. I can
honestly see it going both ways.
Like he's the type of guy who like if he's like at like moves to a different place where no one he'll know no one that went to his same high school or whatever, and he tells stories about the popular kids and then puts himself in their shoes. So like, oh yeah, man, I was captain of the football team. I was the and then the whatever. Hopefully he knows what the fucking word quarterback is, but whatever. And then and shit like that. I could this because just how he is and how he was because he was a scrawny dude the entire life, right? He was never He was never like a big. He was always kind of small, right? So.
Right.
And when he was young, he used to go to church every Sunday. All that, all that stuff. He was heavily into church. He did have a speech impediment, and he was made fun of heavily because of it. And a lot of people think that had some stuff to do with it.
Probably.
But I mean, he liked scaring people. He had a fierce temper to him. That's the stuff that they were saying. He would lie. He was just. But then
he was a little off as a kid. Like he was he was a normal kid, but just a little, but just like I know what you mean. Like just a little strange. Bit of a cunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was just one of those it's so weird looking back, and we're doing it this month. People try to pinpoint the one thing that happened, and it's hard when you start doing that. You know what I mean? Because it's not just one thing. I mean, it's a build-up, right?
Yeah, it's a snowball effect of a bunch of different things that will just...
Because wasn't he also... I could be wrong, but wasn't he also like... Because he grew up in a bigger family, right? Or was he an only child?
No, he was in a bigger family.
Right? Yeah,
he was. I think he was either the youngest or something. But when he was 14, he found out that he was illegitimate. Or that's what they say in the documentary. He was
adopted.
They didn't know who his father was.
Yeah.
So that's the way they worded it in the documentary. And he claimed till the day that he died that it had nothing to do with anything and that it never really affected him. But the doctor that was doing the psychology tests on Ted said that it had a very hefty... He believes that had a hefty...
cause?
Yeah, cause...
Yeah. It caused a snowball effect,
that was kind of the kicker.
Yeah.
And then you add on a bunch of stuff. He believed that there was... A lot of people believe that he had a gap somewhere, or that... a lot of people thought that he had grown a tumor in his head that blocked off his empathy path,
so many
the chemistry stuff. There's so many different people who want to find the
root cause of everything.
Yeah,
it's not the person, it has to be something else. No, it's just
back in the day, right? They didn't know, right? It was
There's a lot of the phrase, we didn't have the technology back then.
I think even now, I think people still don't really fully know. I think they know a good more now than back then, but still,
But there's
you boil it down, you don't really know what could cause. Because, there could be an innocent kid who grew up in a great life who just winds up killing everyone. Look at half the school shooters, I think, these days, right? They're fucking normal kids who just...
There are a lot of things that psychologists have done to root down what is the cause, but... With a lot of these cases, it just of diagnosis of what it is. There's no real treatment, or except for intensive therapy. Even then, it won't do it because a lot of this stuff does happen at a very early age. It's a lot when your brain's growing. There can be trauma that happens that attributes to down the road, and once your brain's set, it's very hard to crack that mold.
Fair enough. And who knows too? Did they ever find out whose father was? I forget. Or no?
I don't believe they did.
So who knows? Because when when he was in his mom right when he was growing, right? Who knows what she did? She could have been drinking, smoking. Who fucking knows? That could have all. So much shit could cause so much shit. It's so hard to pinpoint, but
it's one of those things. I think Ted always wanted to be in a position of power. That we learned from the documentary and even the movie. He wanted to be president because he wanted to have that much power.
Yeah.
So. He went in, he started working for, political campaigns and stuff like that. Yeah. And then he wanted to be a lawyer. And that's kind of where it all starts. So, he went to the University of Washington in 1966. And then he got a undergraduate degree of psych, and he met a girl from California, and her name was Diane Marjorie Jean Edwards, and that was his first girlfriend ever.
Okay.
And it was said she had like a really nice car. She came from a very wealthy family, and apparently the family really liked Ted too. They spent a lot of time driving around in her car, and kind of just hanging out and talking. And as we said, he wanted to be a politician, but she really inspired him to become a politician in the end.
Yeah.
And he was a very Republican politician. And he went on to work in a political campaign for Dean Evans.
Oh.
And people who worked there and his friends would say, like we said earlier, this is the type of guy that you'd want your sister to marry.
Yeah.
At least that's what they thought at the beginning of meeting Ted. He was very talkative, and throughout the campaign, he would go up to big people in the campaign world, and a lot of people that meant a lot when you get into the politics area, and he'd have no problem going and talking to them and striking up conversation. I don't know, I think it might be a little bit of the manipulation tactics and also the chameleon tactics that you were talking about, of finding a way to change little things about yourself to make sure that you can fit right in that hole that they've made for you or whatever. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that's really, really interesting when you get into the mindset of these killers. But there was something where he was found out as a spy. He went into another campaign. Right. And he was talking to some of the people who were a part of the Libertarian Party or something, and he was found out to be a spy, and he was like something like that. But I mean, it was famously said that Ted wanted to be, and he wanted to be in the upper class. He wanted to be a somebody, and that even goes towards when you watch the documentary with him and talking. The guy who came in, the journalist, says Ted just wanted this to be a celebrity biopic. That's all he wanted. He just wanted a celebrity bio, and that's all he was. He was a heavy narcissist. But eventually, he graduates from school, and it's 1973 in Seattle, and he applied to a bunch of law schools, and his grades were mediocre. He wasn't like
all-star student. I think it was like average, maybe a little bit below average student, right?
Yeah. So he ended up going to night school, and this is kind of where him and his girlfriend had split up, and he was kind of saying it was because he was working so hard, and it was like a money thing because he couldn't buy her all the nice fancy stuff. A lot of people think that it was just kind of him also feeling inadequate or she was better than him, and he didn't like that, and that's where also a lot of this stems from. But I mean, this is around the area where he wanted to get revenge on her. So in the tail end of the summer of 1973, he started kind of getting into the area of where we would see him in 1974. It's kind of
the quick little blip of his early.
Yeah, sorry, it's all over the place. Again, we talk the documentaries and stuff. It's hard. I wish I could. I was gonna go through and literally categorize my notes year by year, like a 73, 74, 75.
But it's so much. It's probably so much backtracking. It's, oh shit, that goes there. It's all good.
I tried to split it up into episodes, but the episodes they're so factual that sometimes it's hard to get through because it's like so much stuff's coming at you that it's like, holy, okay, write that down.
Fair enough.
But it's kind of like a quick. Hopefully, I got it right. If I didn't, correct me in the comments section. But
in other words, it's short and synopsis. He had an okay childhood, bit of a weirdo as a kid. But other than that, he wasn't but he didn't have he wasn't anything traumatic what's his nut, Manson or fucking those guys. Nothing traumatic like that. Just not knowing his dad, also probably not feeling like he belonged to him. I wonder if that had anything to do with it.
Because I think he was also beaten by his granddad as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because fantastic. I thought that's what I remember hearing.
Yeah.
He was abused by his grandpa or someone like that. And then so
that's the type of stuff where, because the documentary is trying to cover so much ground in 4 episodes, sometimes it goes a little too quick.
Yeah,
and
gets
then,
swept under the rug.
or even that you're trying to process so much information that you kind of, there's little bits and pieces that you might forget or
exactly,
you know what I mean?
right? But now we're in the 70s. Want to take it all over?
Yeah, well, the movie starts around 69 when Ted Bundy meets Liz Kendall in a bar, and it basically starts off in their relationship. Everything seems fine. The movie frames it as if like he's going to straight up murder her right away. If you don't know, I went into this film not knowing much about Bundy, so me going this is like, oh, is this going to be the first one that he whacks? It's like, no, this is a natural relationship that started. And then it just focuses on their relationship for a little bit, and then we get the title card. January to July 1974, wave of terror across America. The first bodies start popping up. But the first one they really talk about is at Lake Sammamish. Is like the first one they really focus on, and they talk about because it's the first case where they're able to identify, or people have actually witnessed a guy trying to take away girls. It's phrased as a guy in an arm cast asking people to help put his boat into his car. And with this, you get a sketch. I think it was a real sketch they used in the film as well.
Yeah, it's a real sketch. And there were people who came forward and they said that they actually had overheard him say, "Hi, my name's Ted."
Yeah.
And that's how they got Ted and that.
That's fucked.
Yeah, sketch. It's fucked. I mean, the first scene, the thing that really eared me out is like, so she's in the phone thing.
Yep.
And you can hear they're talking. Cut to the bar, and it's "Do you believe in magic?"
Yeah.
And a young girl's heart. And then you get into the prison, and they don't stop the song.
Yeah.
They just turn it down. But it's like, it's eerie enough because it's like almost like you're there with them with that song, remembering. Cause I don't know. Sometimes with memories, even a song can come back.
Very much.
I was like, wow, what a cool little piece in the post production to add to that scene. I mean, and I was also wondering if it was like an add to like her still having a little bit of feelings or whatever.
Probably.
And that
honestly,
song was still like the little
that
bit
was
of
like the first song they.
I wish you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. I
Yeah.
wish it was like the first time I met you instead of when the truth came out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, honestly, that fucking... You know, you might think that's fucking far. I think that's fucking... See, that's smart. See, I wish I could fucking look at a movie like that and think of that shit. I just look like, it's a song, cool. It's so dumb when it comes to analyzing anything.
The first scene in this movie is so jam-packed of it, though, because he's like, "Are you sure you don't want to run?" And I was like, is that something? Are we hinting?
Yeah.
Like, this movie's well written, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's well written. It's well done in post, but...
It's poorly reviewed, though.
Really?
Very poorly reviewed.
What do they say? Like, what's the main gripe about this
What's
movie?
the worst... Who is the guy who gave the most shtick?
So I'll go with
what makes him
the
a
Guardian.
fucking expert?
I'll go with the Guardian.
What makes the Guardian the expert? Guardian makes
Because like the first 4 that were green weren't like known.
The
Or like
Guardian. The Guardian.
The star's charismatic and creepy performance as a notorious serial killer is the best thing about an otherwise pedestrian and graceless drama.
Really? Okay.
Which,
Benjamin Lee.
But see, like, when people say this shit, it's like, what the fuck do you look? It's like, what do you want? Like, I think most people just wanted to see the Ted Bundy killings. It's like, okay, yeah, but then it'd be like a 3-hour-long movie of him killing for like half that movie, and then this. Fuck the Guardian. Fuck you, Guardian. Just kidding, but like, no.
Dude, do you even guard the galaxy?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, man. I don't think so.
Here's my issue walking into a project like this. There's a line, and it's a very, 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 very thin line that you need to walk when you do this stuff.
Oh, for sure.
Right? It's like, because like you were saying, maybe this guy from The Guardian, Benjamin Lee, wanted to see. He has gripes with the movie because he wanted to see a little bit more of the cases.
Yeah.
He wanted to see a little bit more.
Yeah.
There's a fine line between making a movie and being respectful to the families.
Yeah.
And to the people who were actually around during that time and remember those.
Yeah.
And then there's also making a movie. So here's the two issues. You make that movie that maybe Lee wants to see, Benjamin Lee wants to see.
Yeah.
But then you also have the group on the other camp saying,
exactly.
Well, whoa.
What? Yeah.
Like, don't show that shit. Like, you can't do that. But then you do that, and then you have people who were like, this is just a drama movie, and you don't see what actually happened. You're never on the...
Yeah, you're never on anyone's... You're always on one... Yeah.
There's always somebody. If you should have zigged... If you zagged, you should have zigged.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Like, you're never going to win. I don't know.
Because you can either get the David Fincher Zodiac type, where it's just the bleakest thing, and you see all the murders recreated, shot for shot, and it gives you the overwhelming dread of everything that's going to happen, and you follow the police narrative going through it. Or you go the Aaron Sorkin route, where they have the big courtroom procedural, and then you have to kind of take different days and place them in different areas just so the storyline hits all the beats that a standard movie does, which is brilliant in how he does it. Or you do what Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile did, which is take one of the most horrific men in America and focus on someone who is closely attributed with it and see how she copes with it.
Mm-hmm. And the mindset that person was in.
Because it's not an exciting movie, and it's not meant to be an exciting movie.
Yeah.
It's just meant to be a human story. It's meant to just be a day-to-day, what's it like having to be associated with this guy.
And I think that's the big mistake with this movie, is this isn't a Ted Bundy movie.
No.
This is a person who is very close to Ted Bundy's perception of him and what it was like to go through this trial. Ted is very heavily featured in this movie, of course, but it's not the Ted Bundy movie.
No.
You know what I mean? I think that's where people get a little angry, where it's like, well, you know, I wanted to see a little bit more of this, but it's like, well, yeah, but this isn't the Ted Bundy movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a movie about somebody who was close to him. And the damages that happened from the stuff that he did and the truth coming out affected the people around him too also. Yeah. Which, like, this month I found especially, like, we did cults, you know, a month ago. And I found that a lot of this stuff, watching these documentaries on these people who've done horrible things, it's an 1.5 hour long documentary, and it's all dedicated to them, and then the last 2 minutes is dedicated to the people who they have done these horrible things to.
The unfortunate people who suffered from their atrocities.
I think that's the one thing that's kind of sad, is
people forget that innocent people were, like how you were saying, innocent people were harmed and killed and just had to for years and years and years had to live through this pain until evidence could be brought up and this and that. And so it's like, you know, as much as people want to see the brutality of, like, because everyone's interested in that, because everyone has that, like, oh, I'm never gonna cross that path, but I want to see it. You know, it's just like, you know, don't go close to the sun, or else you're gonna get burned. But they want to, right? But just like, you know, reel it back, like you were saying, and, you know, innocent people were harmed. You know, like I said, innocent people were harmed, and, you know, what was the girl's name again? Like, this
Liz Kendall.
Liz Kendall. She was in she had to see it all. Like, she was front and center. She had the best seat in the house, unfortunately. Is crap worth saying, but just like, and how mentally draining, how mentally fucked it would be on her, being like, this is, I let him in my house, I let him hang out with my daughter, you know, and all this stuff. He could have killed me, could have killed her anytime. Like, would be so, you know, and I think that's more intriguing. It's to me, how does someone cope like that? Because it's just, I can't even fathom thinking of knowing a murderer and being that close, having sex with the murderer, like thinking about like, because that's the last thing in your mind. It's like, oh, I'm probably having sex with a murderer. It's like, no, I'm having sex with someone who, sex.
Someone you love and you actually care about.
Or, whatever.
Yeah.
Just have a fun time. But it just, and then realizing, oh, he's one of the biggest, if not probably the most famous serial killer in American history, I would say. Or one of them.
One of them for sure.
Top 5 for sure, right?
Yeah. Another problem you would have with this movie, if you did show all the killings, is one of the main themes and things that this movie is trying to do wouldn't work, and that's getting you to be manipulated by Zach Efron. Because as soon as you show him hacksaw a woman's head off, you wouldn't feel any sympathy for him whatsoever, and that all goes.
And the last, I want to say 15 minutes of this movie loses all of its momentum.
Yeah.
Because there's a moment in that movie where everything falls, and it's the scene where you finally see him trying to kidnap that one. The woman. And that totally changes your perception because if you're watching this movie and you haven't seen anything, and then that scene hits, and bam,
and that's really the only murder you see.
And that's totally right what you said. Because if you went in the first 15 minutes of this movie, you saw it, and you were watching Ted Bundy, that's a different movie.
Yeah.
And hey, maybe if that movie comes out, that could be a great movie. If you do it respectfully, it could be a great movie. Yeah. But it's not this movie. I know exactly what you mean, because it would have totally changed the tone of this movie.
For sure.
It's that's totally, I feel you, dog.
Yeah. But, so we get the first eyewitness testimonies from a bunch of people, and then we cut to Utah in 1975. Because I think in real life they did question him, but they let him go because it was a different color car.
Yeah.
That was reported.
Yeah, it didn't match.
That didn't match, and it was a different Ted they were looking for. Because I think they got an eyewitness and another guy called Ted, and that's what kind of led him astray. Because they got a bunch of numbers.
And at this time, from the documentary, they were working 14-hour-long days, and to put it in perspective, there were 42,000 Volkswagen bugs that they were going through. They narrowed it down to 1,000 Teds who owned bugs, and from there they narrowed it into 100.
Yeah.
So
which is crazy, having to do all that work and breaking it down.
So we're now in Utah, 1975, and this is after he tried to kidnap a woman. She got away. We don't see this, but she talks to the police. They now know what car they're looking for. They tell his car. They find him, and then they go into his trunk and they find his tools. He's still studying law, and he's studying for his case because he's gonna have to go for trial for this.
Yeah.
Goes to the law library. Someone spots him. He gets kicked out.
Yeah. And that's the first moment where you're like, oh, but you know what I mean? That's the first moment where the movie's trying to get you to almost sympathize with the idea.
Yeah.
And it's because there's quite a lot going on in that as well. Because when he's studying in the law library, we have 3 different women. That's smile, smile, smile. And I'm like, okay, is one of these gonna get killed? Is something gonna happen here? Because you can also see, again, this goes to Zach Efron's performance, you can also see the clocks turning in his head. As he's looking at his books and he's looking around. It's like, oh no. And then she leaves. She sees the newspaper, gets him kicked out. Okay, good.
Yeah. I have a note in here. I think I wrote it down, or maybe I just thought about it, but I have a note that says Zach Efron is putting on a frickin' workshop. It is insane, dude. The acting chops that go into him sitting, like you were saying, and literally watching the thoughts.
Yeah.
He's not speaking. He's not making big grandiose gestures to tell you what he's thinking. He's sitting there looking at the camera, and it's very Godfather Al Pacino-esque when all you get is a single look and you know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's eerie, but it's well done.
So we have the trial, the first part of the trial, and then afterwards we see him and Liz Kendall going to adopt a dog, but they also bump into
Carol Ann Boone.
Yeah, Caroline Boone, who will play a big part in this later on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we were talking about this whilst watching the movie. It's like, you can always trust a dog.
Yeah. Dog knew. Right? The dog was all fine. Fucking look at him, start growling. He goes down to his level, and then the dog gets scared. Get the fuck out.
Also, great use of animals.
Yeah.
And just showing his power, that he's like
Showing
the
his
evil he exudes.
Yeah.
It's so eerie, man. It's that scene creeps me out, and
that is a fucking
It's that creepy look at the dog where it's like,
it's almost like you say something, I will kill your dog too, and the dog's like, oh shit! Like, it's almost like he's confessing to the dog. It's like, yeah, you fucking know exactly what I did, and that dog like, oh shit, oh god, like it's fucked.
It's that eerie thought that I'm wondering in his head. I'm like, is he thinking that this? He's like, you can't talk. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't say anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
and that's the kind of thought product. It's fucking... I'm fucking telling you, Zach Efron. Dude, let's fucking make a movie, dude. This guy...
Kills it.
He's got it, dude.
Like, don't let good looks deceive you. There's talent behind that.
Oh my.
Exactly.
Yeah, like he's not just a guy lifting refrigerators.
Yeah, he's not a guy every girl wants to be with, and every guy wishes he was.
yeah, he's not like that at all.
Yeah, he's fucking a great
podcast.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's just he can say so much with just a stare. Like how you're saying, it's fucking that fucking Godfather-esque. Just, oh, you know exactly what he's saying, and it's just him. Like I said, no having to smile, no having to like really put a smug look. It's just the twitch of an eye or whatever, and it's like, what's happening here?
It's amazing.
Because one actor I would compare him to is Robert Pattinson, in the sense of they're both seen as like fucking heartthrobs at a young age. Like, oh, I want to be there, I want to be with them. Oh, it's like, yeah, okay.
I want to be with the other, fucking High School Musical or
Twilight.
Twilight.
And then you see their later work, and more so with Robert Pattinson, but this is like the first glimpse with Efron. They can do unhinged very well. Oh. Like, they are genuinely terrifying when you see them go for it.
Like in The Lighthouse? Yeah, maybe.
Lighthouse, Good Times, if you've seen that.
I haven't seen either of those, but those are... I gotta watch them, because everybody says they're
Lighthouse
great.
is good. It's fucking weird. Yeah. It's very weird, but it's good. Like Willem Dafoe also kills it. Like, he's like...
He's the king of just going.
Right?
Like, going for broke, that guy.
Yeah, honestly.
But he's the legend.
Right?
And in Good Times, it's Robert Pattinson plays this character who's trying to rob a bank with his autistic brother, and they're trying to jump away. His brother gets captured by the police, and it's him trying to go through the entire night trying to free him.
Shit. I remember watching a YouTube video, and they started off with Matthew McConaughey. And they said Matthew McConaughey started doing romantic comedies. He was known for it.
Yeah.
He quit, and it took a full year for him to ever get an offer. And it was for, I believe it was for The Lincoln Lawyer, was when he got his first.
Oh, I did see that. That's good.
But, like, he did his, like,
his niche.
He did his niche, but when it came time, he kind of went off, and he took the stuff that he got, and the stuff he got was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
For the most part, he's a great actor. I don't care what anybody says.
Honestly, yeah.
But you're starting to see it now with Robert Pattinson, and now a lot of people are saying they want a Zach Efron style Robert Pattinson loop where it's a little bit more of like going down into the indie movies where there's a bit more of like a...
There's more just meat and potatoes.
Yeah, where it's not Hugh Jackman and Zach Efron, or The Rock and Zach Efron. No, motherfucker, this is Zach Efron.
Yeah,
this is Robert Pattinson, and these guys are getting it.
Yeah,
and it's like,
right? Why not? See, right? Well, exactly. Why not? And
he can hold. Honestly, hold the movie.
He definitely can. Like I said, I was shocked when I first saw Zach Efron. I'm like, this movie's gonna be fucking weird because I just can't see him being a serial killer. And then watching him, it's like, holy fuck!
We talked about that.
We watched it. I think we watched it at your apartment there when he first came out. We were like, wow, this is really actually really good. Like, it's because again, like I'm just used to him, from of course High School Musical, where everyone first saw him, but then Neighbors and Baywatch. Again, him playing the heartthrob and the guy who's the big old jacked up heartthrob who gets the girls, and it's just like, and then seeing this go some completely left field. It's like, okay, all right, Zach, I'm all for it.
I mean, he was able to hold a movie when he was a kid. He was able to be the front of a trilogy when he was a kid.
Yeah. I mean, and then you got Charlie St. Cloud, which was actually filmed in BC. You also have Hairspray. I mean, like this guy, like by the time he was able to fucking drive a car,
when he was fucking 16, he was it.
The guy.
Yeah, he was the dude.
And I feel really bad for him in a sense. He kind of. I was watching a video. I don't know if he said it himself or people were just kind of saying, like, this guy since he was young has had to deal with the idealistic nature of what being a heartthrob in Hollywood is, and with the whole picture thing and people ridiculing him with the if he got facial stuff done or if he got that stuff done. It kind of actually, like, I was sitting there kind of like...
It bugged you. I'm saying it'll get to him.
It bugged me because I was like, you know what? Fuck it. The guy wants to do it. The guy will do it. Hey, guess what? It's his fucking face. Yeah. Hey, newsflash, everybody. You don't get to make that fucking choice. Exactly. So how about that one?
And that's the one thing. That's the thing I fucking hate the most. Is like, is just who gives a fuck what people want to do to themselves. As long as like I think we were talking about because you were telling me that Floyd Mayweather got hair transplants, and then I was like, well, fuck, who get like, hey, you know what? At his age and with his money, fuck, I'm doing it too. Like, who get like, and it's like people want to make fun of him. It's like, dude, who gives a flying fuck? Why are you making fun of why make fun of him because he wants to just get a fuller beard or Zach Efron maybe had a crooked nose? He wants to. Who gives a flying? It's not your life. Mm-hmm. Like, fuck off.
And also the idea that because he's in a movie that you like or. He's your favorite boxer, or they sing your favorite song, that it's our face, that your life is ours. Right? It's like, dude, that's kind of fucking weird. That's weird.
Right?
Because if you look at Daniel Radcliffe, when he was in London, anytime he's in London, he would say, if he's just walking down the street, the rich, snobby people would just grab him and say, hey, say hello to my friend. Yeah. They would just grab, because you're their property, essentially. You're in their home, you're on their TV, you're their property. It's like, no.
Right? They have lives. They have their fuck off. Like it's just a fuck. Yeah.
Sorry for the rant, but like it's getting a little too much. Where it's like, guys, I get it. You like the shit, but it's not your decision. And here's a really cool idea. Nobody asked for your fucking opinion. Is that rude?
No.
But you're watching this podcast, which means you want to hear our opinion.
Yes, true. So you know what? Sit down with this. Sorry.
That's true. I understand. It's not. That's not rude. Fucking people need to wake up calls.
Honestly, I get to this point too. Chadwick Boseman. I was watching him. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
I was watching him on a round table, and he had said there's a difference because he was like, people come up to him and they constantly ask him for autographs. And he's like, and they come up and they say, well, you owe me this autograph. Some people would go up to him and say, you owe me this autograph. I hold your career. He's like, no. This engagement didn't start with you paying the money. Yeah. This engagement started with me creating the art that wanted you to come today. So our transaction was, I made the movie. Yeah. You watched it and paid money.
Yeah.
That was the transaction. It's not you paid money, so I made a movie.
So, yeah.
But yeah, so we get to, so we've just been out of the library, just been kicked out, done the dogs. Now at Utah State Prison, he's been convicted for kidnapping. Mm-hmm. And it's March 1st, 1976. Guy approaches him saying, hey, have you ever been to Colorado? No. I've never been to Colorado. Goes, okay, cool. Now being tried for or investigated for murder. Because they can place him in Colorado. He lines up with a few people out there. And now he's on he's been moved to Colorado and now he's on trial. And this is the most confusing scene of the movie. Like, I'm kind of like skipping a lot here, but the scene where he's in his prison cell and he's sitting on the top bunk and he's jumping.
Oh yeah.
I never got what that was for.
Do you do it for now?
Yeah, I get it now. Like the Bundy tapes sort of filled it in, but I was so confused as to why he was doing that.
Fair enough.
Because I thought it was just a stress tactic or a psycho thing going on. I was like, no, he was actually just prepping for his jump.
Yeah, he was getting ready to jump off the.
Yeah.
Did they film that in the actual location? Do we know?
I don't know.
Like if that was the actual
it might be
courthouse?
It might be.
I was watching our buddy, Grim Life Collective, and he did a Ted Bundy app, and he went to a spot where I believe it might have been that courthouse or a place where Ted Bundy was, and he saw the table that Ted carved his name into, and they have like a glass. It's like on the corner here.
Shit.
And they have like a plexiglass thing over top of it.
Wow.
And it's carved in there, Ted Bundy.
That's
Like
fucked.
I love his stuff. He kind of goes along the stuff that we do on the podcast, the eerier side of history and that type of stuff. He does a really good job.
So I'm looking at trivia to see if I could find that. Breaking news: Zach Efron is 5'8".
Really?
No.
Really?
During the film, a news report on Bundy lists his height as 5'7" to 5'8". In real life, Ted Bundy was 5'10". The listing in the film was tailored to fit Zach Efron's height of 5'8".
He's only 5'8".
Yeah.
No
Really?
fucking way.
Boys,
Dude.
that's like.
So I got someone, you Zach. I'm taller.
Wait, he's 5'8"?
Yeah.
Fuck,
You're taller.
I don't know. What am I? 5'9", 5'10"?
Because you're about Chris's height, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit taller. Yeah, you're about 5'9", 5'10", probably.
All right. Yeah. Gotcha.
You're about couple inches taller.
Hey Zach, get on the podcast.
Yeah. Hey,
Come on, man.
short stuff. We'll get a booster seat for you. Just kidding, Zach. You're.
We're gonna do. Fuck it. Let's send the audio file and the video over to Zach DM style.
but
Let him really know.
We got a booster seat for you. I got weights at my house, so if you want to work out and show me up, you can.
Oh my god.
And if you like tacos, there's a new Mexican taco place opened up in Vancouver, so we can have a taco. Yeah, right behind 420 Homer, I think.
Really?
No, or you know where that little La Taqueria place was, like right by our school. It's like behind there. There's like an alley. There's an alleyway that.
Really?
I guess they opened up and made into like a taco joint. I saw on TikTok. I was like, shit.
Hiya folks, Oliver here from Cats with Tin Hats. We're splitting this Bundy documentary into 2 parts because we just had too much to talk about. So make sure to tune in next week for part 2.